Is there anybody here who's like actually from Toronto? Woo woo! I'm Victoria. I'm also born and raised Torontonian. I actually grew up a couple blocks away from here. I'll never pronounce the second T. It will always be the Sky Dome. And my longest toxic relationship is with the Maple Leafs. Now I know what you're all thinking, nice white girl, face full of freckles. I look like my ancestors came here fleeing the potato famine. That's because they did. Recently I learned that my people came to Toronto in 1837. I'm so Toronto that my great-grand uncle actually like built Casa Loma, and my great-grand-aunt caused the first ever streetcar delay. My grandpa Joe is actually the one who like dug up and then filled back in the first hole for the Eglinton Crosstown. And he would be really excited to see his dream finally come a reality. But 1837 is actually really crazy for me. Like, that means my ancestors showed up here on Turtle Island, smallpox blankets in hands, writing treaties in pencils so they could write over them later. Most people in Canada hear land acknowledgements and they're like, we weren't even here for this. And I hear land acknowledgement and draft an apology statement on behalf of Grandpa Joe. So I'm 38 years old. I'm married to that rude Indian man that was just on stage. We actually have a really interesting meet cute story. Do you guys want to hear it? So back in 2017, the Trudeau government was actually experimenting with these, like, trying to tackle the declining population in Canada. And they had this idea that matching single young Canadians with wealthy new immigrants would establish roots here. And so there was this new program called the Passport to Love. I was young, single, 30 years old, and desperate. The dating apps were really just not doing me any luck. One of the last dates I went on actually was this guy named Marco, and he was really cute. He seemed super intelligent, but the date got weird quickly when he pulled his dick out in a parking lot at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I jumped away in horror, and he looked me in the eye and said, "But if you don't want to touch it, would you lick it?" That's a true story. I thought to myself, there just like has to be a better way of doing this, and the targeted ads read my mind, and I ended up signed up for the Passport to Love program. So the way it worked is like Carter got a package of portfolios. It was like Indian matchmaker style, and he got the first one. It was like this really cute farmer's daughter from Saskatchewan, and she was really nice, and he was interested, but his Canadian dream was just not chasing cattle and hauling manure. Then he got this next girl. It was Priya, this second generation Indian girl from Brampton, but y'all just heard his thoughts on moving to Brampton. And then there was me, sweet city girl, colonialist card in hand. And I feel really bad because I think Kurtik thought he was getting like this upper class white lady, you know, like rocking Lululemons, appropriating yoga, getting like extra frisky during pumpkin spice season. But he got me, a scrappy girl from the hood with more street smarts than manners, and a family that's like just crazy enough to make me funny. You should have seen the look of devastation on his face when he met my dominatrix cousin and the aunt who thinks she's engaged to Ryan Reynolds. And he realized that his new in-laws were less Bay Street vibes and more people of Walmart. So like I actually like don't have like a normal kind of like quirky aunt, right? Like, you know, the kind that like lets you watch horror movies far too young, tells you like wildly inappropriate stories. My aunt is like the real kind of crazy. She always talks about being on another plane. She thinks she can control the weather every time she stumbles on some magic mushrooms. And actually she did tell me a lot of wildly inappropriate stories, like when she wrote an S&M themed erotic novel. I was 15 and acing English, so she asked me to help her edit it. I was about halfway through the book, and my mind was blown by the kinky content when she looked at me and said, "You know, I practiced that Jello scene with your Uncle Tim." So as you can imagine, Kartik and I come from very different families. And we have a lot of differences that are not like the standard cultural differences. So, for example, when I go to family events in India, usually his family are always draped in these elegant silk saris and kurtas. And when he comes to my family events, my family are also draped in elegant cloths. I mean, like, they're more robes than cloths, and they're more cotton than silk, and usually paired with a side of Crocs, but it's a look. We call it Quaker chic. And so another thing that happens in India is, like, all this family are talking about their travels and their adventures, and so they're always off to exotic places like Argentina and Bali. And my family travels too, but it's a little bit more local. We're more like exploring different cottages in the Kawartha Lakes. And one thing that, like, you guys all know about India is, like, it's all about what you do and what your job is. So his family's always bragging about being like doctors and lawyers and like serving on the UN Human Rights Commission. And you know, my family also lament the challenges and the financial pressures, but usually they're talking about like the optimal number of children to have to maximize the return on the child tax credit. So my cousin's laughing so hard, she gets it. We do have some similarities, though, with our big families. So something that's really custom in Indian families is large multi-generational homes. And you'll also often have like grandparents, cousins, aunties, and uncles all living together in these big grand homes. And I was actually raised in a little bit of an open-door commune situation. So we also often had cousins and aunties and uncles living in our homes. But instead of like nice apartments all stacked on top of each other, we just had bodies shoved in any corner we could fit a futon. So yeah, obviously, like me and Kartik, we come from different worlds. And when he's at family barbecues, he gets a little overwhelmed sometimes. It could be a little uncomfortable because, like, usually there's like a lot of children running around screaming, touching him with their sticky hands. A lot of drama will break out and everybody's fighting. My nephew's in the corner lighting things on fire. And Kartik's just standing around bewildered thinking, fuck, I wish I was shoveling shit in Saskatchewan. Thank you.